Welcome to Axie Pulse YouTube channel. So today I will be explaining the ABCD breeding method in Axie Infinity, and I will be going through also how to calculate potential ROI from using this method as you scale. So caveat, this is obviously not financial advice. Please do all of your own research and look through everything you need to make your own financial decisions. So an intro to the ABCD method. It is named that way basically because you start with four axes, ABCD. And so you should obviously do your research on what types of axes you want to breed, what kind of genes you want to breed for, what's kind of relevant in the meta right now. But otherwise, you get four. You want to get pure ones if that's generally the best way to go, so that you have more predictability around what subsequent axes genes might be. So generally people have been looking at 95% plus at least in terms of purity. And the way you can look that up is using the Freaks Axie extension. You can grab that anywhere. I'll put a link on this video as well. But basically with that extension, once you go into the marketplace, you will be able to see the genes and the purity of different axes. So all of that is available for you to use. So going back to the ABCD method, so generally the goal here is to scale your Axie farm and to be able to profit along the way. And so the way you do it is with those four initial axes you have, you will breed for each of them around 4 times. And so, throughout this whole process, depending on how things go, your luck with the breeding and the genes, you might have to adjust, but this is just a general kind of theory and concept behind it. So once you breed those 4, you can sell the parents and you can sell one of the children. And so a big, background of this and context is obviously in Axie Infinity, you cannot breed a child with his parents. And so this allows you to breed and scale by having axes that don't have the same parents. So in this case, from here, you can continue breeding by taking the 3 from the first set of parents and the 3 in the second set, and then do the same thing. Basically, you do this on repeat. I think at some points you might have an odd number of axes. You could sell one, you can hold it on the side. Different ways to deal with kind of the little nuances along the way, depending on your genes and how everything turns out. This is what it looks like when you get to kind of the 4th generation, but the concept is still the same. You got to find axes that are unrelated to each other, breed them together, get another 4 axes, and continue to scale from there. So this seems great in theory, but do the economics actually work? And that's where we get to the calculator. So I've created this. I will link to it at the bottom in the description of this video as well. But basically, I'll walk through this, and there's a video here of where I first learned about the ABCD method that describes a little bit, that you can check out as well. But how to use the spreadsheet is all these yellow cells are things that you can tune depending on how the market changes, how cost changes. AXS is 2 now, which changed recently from 4 to breed a single axie, and so this is all tunable in terms of the yellow cells. The USD to Ethereum conversion is actually pulled from a nice Google plugin with Google Finance. And yeah, so the way you want to use this is just duplicate the sheet, and then basically punch in your own numbers that are relevant. So in my case here, I just said 96% Axie, maybe about $1,000 each. The prices have been changing a lot recently, so definitely figure out what your actual prices are going to be as you purchase. And then basically assuming you do the 4 breeds, figure out how much you might be able to sell the parents for, how much you may be able to sell the virgins for, the children, and that are basically covers all your inputs. I have a note here, mutations can happen. So these, depending on, your luck, as you go through generations, these, expected sale prices could go down because your, later generations might have lower purity. So you'll want to take that into account and make sure you consider that. If you really want, you can obviously add some other cells or, other formulas in here to have that degrade over time. So taking all that into account, this is basically what it looks like at the end. So this is assuming, we're breeding a batch every 5 days. We start with 2 pairs, we breed 8. This covers the AXS costs, which is basically the costs per breed times, the number of breeds, which is how much AXS you'll need. And then SLP covers, the 4 breed cost multiplied by how many breeds. So that's the total cost initial, which includes your capital cost of your initial 4 axes. And then we assume, you're going to sell the two virgins, so 1 from each side, set of parents, and then you're going to sell the 4 parents. And so you can see here, after your first breed, you're actually still net negative. So that's going to be your revenue. Your net revenue per batch is really just the revenue minus the cost, and then your total net is going to be the same for the first batch. And so this is cumulative over time, and you can check the formula to see how it works. But basically, as you go to the next generation, basically go through the same process and get a certain revenue, it'll say, okay, for this batch you're about net profitable about $1,000, but you're still negative overall based on your initial investment. So this will basically tell you how long it'll take for you to recover your initial investment, and then how much you can profit as time goes on. And so this can change a lot depending on the market. So if virgins are now going for $500, it's going to take you 5 cycles, which is about 25 days to maybe recover your costs. If they might be selling for a lot more now, you might recover it in 3 cycles. So that's basically how the calculator works. For some of these numbers, you can pull it from places like CoinGecko, AXS value, SLP value, and just punch them in. And then obviously for the expected sale prices, you want to go into Axie and filter for, whichever parts or whichever breed count, pureness that you will be looking to breed for. So yeah, you should have a good idea of if you can scale. Definitely the tough thing is, the market can be volatile. So make sure to take into account, this is, again, not financial advice, just a tool that you can use if you want. So that's it for this tool. If you enjoyed this, if you found this helpful, feel free to subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the blog, which is all linked below. And yeah, happy breeding.